Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another fascinating exploration. Today we're diving into a topic that's both intriguing and a little unsettling.
Oh, I love those.
We'll be examining how modern marketing strategies, the ones we encounter every day, have started to resemble, believe it or not, tactics used by cults.
That's a bold statement. I'm intrigued.
And to guide us on this journey, we'll be drawing insights from Hoodwinked, how marketers use the same tactics as cults, a compelling work by Dr. Mara Einstein.
I've heard good things about that book.
It's an eye-opener for sure. Our aim today is to understand these persuasive techniques and hopefully empower ourselves to make more informed decisions as consumers.
I think that's a fantastic goal. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. So to kick things off, let's clarify what we mean by a cult. What truly defines that term?
Well, at its core, a cult is an organization that employs manipulative techniques to, for lack of a better phrase, control its members.
You think of the classic imagery of charismatic leader, isolated compounds, maybe even some intense indoctrination rituals.
Right. Those are the stereotypical images that come to mind.
But here's where things get really fascinating. Dr. Einstein argues that many of the recruitment tactics used by traditional cults bear a striking resemblance to what we now see in contemporary marketing. And it all starts subtly.
Oh, I can see that. It's the slow, almost imperceptible shift.
Exactly. It might begin with something seemingly harmless, even positive, a free yoga class, a glowing compliment on your latest social media post.
It's about creating that initial connection, that sense of being seen and appreciated.
And it's incredibly effective. It reminds me of how Lululemon, the athletic apparel company, used brand ambassadors so brilliantly.
Oh, tell me more about that. I'm not familiar with that strategy.
Well, they would provide free clothing to yoga instructors and fitness trainers who would then naturally mention the brand and rave about the quality to their students. It wasn't a hard sell, but it worked wonders.
That's a brilliant example of how brands can cultivate what Dr. Einstein calls lifestyle cults around their products.
Yes, it's not just about selling a yoga pant or a water bottle. It's about selling an entire aspirational lifestyle that people crave to be a part of.
And that's a powerful draw. It taps into our desires for belonging, for self-improvement, for something
Totally.
more.
So you're drawn in by this aura of positivity, this sense of community, and then gradually, just like in a cult, the demands escalate.
That's how they hook you. The subtle shift from try this amazing product to you need to buy more, dedicate more time, and even distance yourself from anyone who criticizes the brand.
It's almost like they're saying, we have all the answers, just trust us.
And this is where psychological mechanisms like love bombing really come into play.
Oh, that's such a powerful concept.
Showering individuals with praise and attention, making them feel special and cherished, it makes them far more vulnerable to influence.
Dr. Einstein shares an experience in her book about an encounter with a Kabbalah Center instructor that really illustrates this. It started as a friendly chat, but then quickly turned into an intense sales pitch for their sacred books.
Oh, I've encountered those tactics myself. It can be really disarming.
It's almost like they're preying on our desire for self-improvement, our longing for a deeper meaning in life.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, where else do these cult-like marketing strategies manifest? What are some real-world examples?
Well, Dr. Einstein dedicates a significant portion of Hoodwinked to examining multi-level marketing, or MLMs.
MLMs, it's an industry rife with controversy.
To put it mildly, MLMs are direct sales organizations with a pyramid-like structure. The real money, however, isn't made from selling products. It's from recruiting new members.
It's a model that thrives on the promise of financial freedom, especially in today's gig economy.
Exactly. And they lure people in with promises of a huge income potential, a strong sense of community and friendship, and these manipulative training programs focused on positive thinking and self-improvement.
It all sounds very appealing on the surface, but the reality is often far less rosy.
That's where Dr. Einstein's investigative work really shines. She pulls back the curtain on these MLMs, revealing how they downplay the risks, obscure income disclosures, and in many cases exploit personal relationships for financial gain.
And there are countless stories of individuals who have gotten caught in these MLM cycles, struggling to break free from the financial and emotional burden. It can be devastating.
Dr. Einstein names names too: Herbalife, Amway, Unique, LuLaRoe. These are just a few of the MLM companies mentioned in the book, along with their controversial practices and even legal battles they've faced.
It's important to note that these MLMs often mimic cult tactics in their recruitment and indoctrination processes.
In what ways?
They use a lot of praise and positive reinforcement to create a sense of belonging and discourage critical thinking.
There's a chilling anecdote in Hoodwinked about an MLM recruit who was initially subjected to online stalking by her upline, the person who recruited her.
Oh, wow.
Then she was bombarded with compliments for her social media skills and convinced that she was a natural at marketing. That's a classic example of their manipulative tactics.
It's about creating this closed system, this echo chamber, where dissenting voices are silenced and members are pressured to conform.
Right, and anything outside of the MLM is portrayed as negative or threatening. Only within the MLM can you truly find success and happiness.
Isolation is key to maintaining control, both in cults and in these MLM structures. It's about severing ties with anyone who might challenge their beliefs.
So are we saying that these marketing ploys, these cult-like strategies, are deliberately designed to bypass our critical thinking faculties and prey on our emotional vulnerabilities?
Precisely. And the truly unsettling part is that it works, particularly in a world dominated by social media.
Speaking of which, social media deserves its own chapter in this discussion. It's a whole different beast, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Social media, with its algorithms and personalized feeds, has become fertile ground for these manipulative tactics to flourish. But we'll delve into that more when we return.
Yes, we've got a lot more to unpack. Stay with us, deep divers, because this is where things get really interesting.
Welcome back to our deep dive.
Now, before the break, we were talking about how social media algorithms can essentially trap us in these echo chambers, right? And they end up feeding us more and more extreme content.
Yes, and we touched on how that plays right into the hands of marketers who are becoming very adept at exploiting our emotional responses.
Especially anger and fear.
Exactly, because those heightened emotions, they keep us glued to our screens, endlessly scrolling, clicking on ads.
It's almost like that old saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product, right?
It's true. Our attention, our data, our emotional reactions, that's the currency we trade in this digital age.
Dr. Einstein calls it the anxiety economy.
Which is a pretty fitting term if you think about it. They're not just after our attention, they're after our anxieties, our insecurities, our deepest fears.
And they know how to exploit them. Just look at the rise of conspiracy theories online.
Oh, absolutely. They prey on our uncertainties, offering these simplistic explanations for complex events.
And it creates this us versus them mentality.
Dividing people, sowing distrust, it's a classic tactic.
The book mentions the Pizzagate conspiracy theory as a prime example. Remember that one?
Vaguely. Refresh my memory.
It started with these outlandish claims about a child sex trafficking ring supposedly operating out of a pizza parlor.
Oh, right, I remember now. It sounds completely absurd.
It was, but it spread like wildfire online, fueled by constant repetition and a lack of critical thinking.
People were so quick to believe it without even questioning the source or the evidence.
Hoodwinked also explores the rise of what Dr. Einstein calls conspirituality.
Conspirituality, that's a new one. What's that all about?
It's this strange blend of spirituality and conspiracy theories.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, you see influencers promoting things like anti-vaccine sentiments or the idea that certain crystals can protect you from 5G radiation.
Wow. So they're blending these New Age beliefs with these unfounded fears and conspiracies.
Exactly. And it can be very dangerous because it often preys on people who are genuinely seeking health and well-being.
It's exploiting their trust, their desire for alternative solutions.
The book mentions Crystal Tini, a wellness influencer, as someone who embodies this trend.
I'm not familiar with her. What does she do?
She started out promoting yoga and meditation, which is fine. But then she went down this rabbit hole of spreading misinformation about the pandemic and labeling anyone who followed mainstream narratives as sheeple.
So she basically used her platform to spread fear and division.
Exactly. And it's a perfect illustration of how these manipulative tactics can infiltrate even seemingly harmless communities.
It's really concerning.
So if we're constantly bombarded with these manipulative marketing schemes, both online and offline, how do we even begin to resist? How do we climb out of this rabbit hole?
Well, the key, as always, is awareness. Recognizing these tactics is the first step to protecting ourselves.
Dr. Einstein emphasizes the importance of critical thinking, media literacy, fact-checking. Basically, don't believe everything you see online. Do your own research.
Absolutely. Question your assumptions, seek out diverse perspectives, and be wary of anything that feels emotionally manipulative.
She also recommends exploring resources like Stephen Hassan's BITE model, which helps identify the tactics used by cults and other manipulative groups.
Understanding those tactics can help us spot patterns, see when manipulation is happening, and take steps to break free.
There's a saying that resonates here. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Exposing these tactics, shining a light on these manipulative strategies, that's how we start to dismantle their power.
Exactly. And that includes demanding more transparency and accountability in the influencer marketing industry.
Because, let's be honest, these influencers have a lot of power, a lot of sway over their followers.
And they have a responsibility to be honest and transparent about their partnerships and promotions.
The good news is that there are signs of positive change. The rise of de-influencing, the FTC cracking down on deceptive marketing practices, the growing awareness of the dangers of social media addiction.
It's like we're finally waking up to the fact that this online world isn't always the sunshine and rainbows it's made out to be.
There's a dark side, a manipulative underbelly that we need to be aware of and actively resist.
Because ultimately, it's about reclaiming our autonomy, our ability to think for ourselves and make decisions that are in our best interests, not just the interests of marketers.
It's about recognizing that we have choices, we have agency. We don't have to be passive consumers in this digital age. We can be informed, discerning, empowered individuals.
Navigating this online world with awareness and resilience.
Well said.
And as we wrap up our deep dive into marketing that feels kind of cult-like, remember we promised you those 10 key takeaways.
Oh, right. Those are going to be so helpful for our
They
listeners.
really are like tools, to spot and then resist manipulative marketing stuff, both on and offline.
So let's hear them.
Okay, number one, marketing is like everywhere, even when you don't realize it.
Yeah, it's sneaky like that. Those harmless social media posts, the perfectly curated lifestyles, it's all marketing, often below the surface.
Then number two, be careful when someone's just laying on the praise, like way too much.
The love bombing, right.
Yeah,
Makes you feel amazing, but could be a red flag.
exactly. Might be trying to get you to do something you wouldn't normally.
Number three, we got to scrutinize those perfect-looking lifestyles, the ones that make you feel kind of inadequate.
Totally, because those images of bliss, they're often hiding a whole marketing strategy playing on your insecurities.
Okay, number four, those MLMs. Got to do your research. Don't just buy into the hype.
They often put recruitment way before actual sales, and that leaves people, well, not in a good place,
5 influencers are businesses, plain and simple.
right? It's easy to forget that. Their endorsements, their recommendations, often driven by money, not genuine belief.
6, and this is a big one, social media algorithms, not your friends.
Nope, they just want to keep you scrolling. They show you the most extreme stuff because it gets you reacting.
7, the illusory truth effect. Heard of that one?
Oh, yeah, that's when hearing something over and over makes it seem true, even if it's not.
So don't fall for that. Repetition doesn't equal truth.
Number 8, hone those critical thinking skills.
Question everything, get different viewpoints, don't be afraid to challenge what you see.
9, be careful what you do online.
Limit the manipulative stuff you see. Be careful with personal info. And remember, your mental health comes first.
And finally, number 10, the most important one, you have a choice.
You really do. You're not just some passive consumer. You can resist manipulation, make informed decisions, and have an online experience that empowers you, not controls you.
Well, that wraps up our 10 takeaways. I hope this whole deep dive gave everyone a new way to look at marketing, especially how it sometimes, well, mimics cults.
Absolutely. Awareness is key, right?
Right.
The more we understand these tactics, the better equipped we are to navigate this whole digital world.
And not just digital, even our everyday lives. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep resisting those pushes towards manipulation, whether they're subtle or not so subtle.
It's been a great deep dive. Thanks for joining us.